XIII is the story of a man who wakes up on a beach having lost his memory. The FBI accuse him of killing the President of the United States, and he doesn't know whose side he's on. He doesn't know who he worked for, he has to reassemble his past, survive, and reconstruct his identity.
In fact, this was Ubi's first shooting game, so we had to buy in an outside engine, the Unreal Engine, which was used to make a lot of very well-known games. Once we had that in our hands, we worked on it for 2 years to add loads of tools to create an original graphic style. It was a dream come true. We were working on something that had never been done before. We did our best to avoid all the spatial, futuristic, and gothic cliches you get these days in video games. I think we succeeded in creating something really novel. People often have this preconceived idea that the more drawn or cartoonish something looks, the easier it is to create. In fact, it's quite the opposite. We added the cartoon effect to the characters. It gives a comic strip 2D look to a 3D object. This effect is achieved by adding a thin black line around the characters, which looks like a pencil line, and the textural effects also help to make it look sketched.
For the cinematics, we wanted to keep this cartoon effect and push it even further. So we mixed the 3D, but 3D with the 2D rendering, with an ultra-simplified decor like you find in comic books. The cell shading is greedy on memory, so we had to create characters who were limited to an average of 1,000 triangles. Since there are more than 60 characters, that meant quite a lot of work. It took up a year and a half of my life.
We drew a lot of our inspiration from architects working between the 1920s and 50s, and we tried to incorporate this influence in our decors.
XIII is inspired by a French comic book series, so we worked with the original artist to design the characters and had the scriptwriter ensure that everything we did in the game was faithful to the original. A lot of the game's spirit comes from the comic book. The hero is a kind of anti-James Bond. He isn't bristling with gadgetry. He gets by with whatever means he manages to come across. Some gameplays are based on this principle. If you have a character moving behind a wall, you can visualize him and anticipate his movements with the sound of footsteps that are displayed on the ground. You can also take characters hostage to use them as human shields. You take the character, he suffers part of the damage for you, then once you've finished with him, you get rid of him. At least it'll have been useful for a while. The XIII game design was influenced by the graphic universe and the use of pop-ups, which appear either to warn of imminent danger or to inform you that you can collect important items. Another example is when you do a headshot, boxes appear to show an enemy falling. Something I'm particularly proud of is the interactive music, which really syncs with the action following the gameplay. It's never linear. When you're on an infiltration mission, you walk and the music's calm, then the fighting starts and it really gets carried away. One of the things we put a lot of work into, and about which we asked a lot of questions, was the violence in the game. By producing a kind of comic book game, we were able to approach the violence from a different direction. Instead of gore and guts, blood and fractured bones, which everyone's seen countless times, we tried to create little cartoon-style scenes with different special effects and vocal utterances. The deaths are a little more overdone, but in the end, you don't take them too seriously. 13 looks like a great action game, but if you don't move around too much, it also looks like a comic book. As a general rule, in video games, you feel like you're killing puppets. But here, the story gives the characters life, so you feel you're fighting real people. A story is a sequence of events to which you react as a player, and which make you change attitude or completely alter your strategy and way of playing. We use a very strong musical style, which draws on the 1960s and 70s, with composers like Lalo Schifrin, for example. We mix all that up with more recent loop-style music, and the result is really fantastic. As far as the sound effects go, we were looking for something very realistic and powerful. We produced nearly 3,000 sound effects, in particular the sounds of some mighty powerful weapons. All in all, it's pretty good. There are several multiplayer modes in the game, ranging from the single deathmatch to team deathmatch, capture the flag, and so on. And we created a few more other original modes, like sabotage mode, or another great one that's called capture the duck. But we'll leave you to discover that for yourself in the game. In the evenings, we mostly play with multiplayer modes. In our opinion, there's no better way of judging a multiplayer map than by trying it out yourself, so yes, we do play 13 a lot. In fact, it's the first thing I do when I get to work, after my shot of coffee. Yeah, it's really great. You begin to get a taste for weapons, you enjoy handling them. Me, I really like... That's for the bloopers.